The shower is broken. How am I supposed to bathe now?
Be grateful. Back in the old days, people didn't even have showers.
How did they survive?
Okay, I need to ask something that might make people a little uncomfortable right from the start. How did people bathe before showers existed? Like, no soap, no shampoo, no body wash, nothing. What were they actually doing?
Honestly, they were surviving, not thriving.
Surviving? That already sounds bad.
Oh, it gets worse, way worse than you're imagining.
No, because I'm thinking about it. Today, if my shower water is even slightly cold, I feel like my entire day is ruined. So back then, no shower at all? Were they just walking around dirty 24/7?
Not exactly. People did clean themselves, just not in the way we're used to. And some of their methods might actually shock you.
I'm already scared. Go ahead.
Let's start with ancient Rome. Now, Romans actually cared about hygiene. They had public bathhouses, routines, and even turned bathing into a social activity.
Okay, that sounds promising. Maybe they were doing something right.
Well, they didn't use soap.
Nope, that's already a problem.
Instead, they used oil.
Oil? Like cooking oil? How does that clean anything?
So here's what they did. They would cover their entire body in olive oil, and then they used a metal tool called a strigil,
That already sounds dangerous.
and they scraped it off.
They scraped themselves? That sounds like a horror movie skincare routine.
I know, but surprisingly, it worked. The oil would trap dirt, sweat, and dead skin, and the scraping removed all of it.
So basically, ancient people invented exfoliation, but in the most aggressive way possible.
Exactly, the original deep clean.
Yeah, deep clean with a side of trauma.
Beauty standards were intense back then, too.
Okay, but what about hair? Because honestly, bad hair days are already a problem today. I can't imagine back then.
Hair care was very different. People didn't wash their hair every day. They used water, herbs, and sometimes clay.
Clay? Like actual mud?
Not just random mud, specific types of clay that absorb oil. It's actually similar to modern dry shampoo.
Wait, so ancient people were already ahead of TikTok trends?
Way ahead.
That's actually kind of impressive.
But here's where things get really interesting. Not everyone had access to these bathing routines.
Meaning?
Meaning, in many parts of the world, especially during certain time periods, people didn't bathe regularly at all.
Wait, like not all at all?
Sometimes weeks, even months.
No, that's illegal. That should be illegal.
Well, back then, they didn't see it the same way we do.
But why? Wouldn't they feel uncomfortable?
In some places, especially in medieval Europe, people believed bathing too often could actually make you sick.
What? How does that even make sense?
They thought water could carry disease into the body through the skin, so avoiding baths was seen as safer.
So they chose being dirty for health reasons.
Exactly. I may smell terrible, but at least I'm safe.
That logic is insane.
To be fair, they didn't have modern science.
Still, I feel like common sense should have kicked in at some point.
Apparently not.
Okay, serious question. If people didn't bathe often, how did they deal with the smell?
This is where it gets interesting. They used perfumes, scented oils, and flowers.
So instead of fixing the problem, they just covered it.
Exactly.
That's like spraying perfume after the gym and calling it a day.
And people still do that today.
Okay, fair point.
But overall, bathing back then was a mix of creativity, culture, and, let's be honest, a little bit of struggle.
Yeah, after hearing all this, I will never complain about my shower again.
Same here. Modern hygiene is a blessing.
Okay, guys, we need your answer on this. If you had to choose one option for the rest of your life, option A, clean yourself using oil and scrape it off like ancient Romans, or option B, only take a bath once a month like some medieval people.
No cheating, you have to pick one.
You have to pick one. Drop your answer in the comments. We're reading all of them. But I feel like we've only scratched the surface. Or should I say, scraped it.
Nice one. And trust me, it gets way worse from here.
No, don't say that, because right now I'm still trying to process the whole oil and scraping situation.
Oh, that was luxury compared to what came later.
Wait, that was the good version?
Yep, let's move forward in time to medieval Europe.
I already feel like I'm not going to like this.
You're not, because in medieval Europe, people barely bathed.
No, I refuse to accept that.
It's true. Bathing became very rare.
But why? They had water, right?
Yes, but beliefs changed. People started thinking that bathing too often could make you sick.
Again with this logic? So their solution was just not bathing at all?
Exactly. Some people would go weeks, even months without bathing.
That's not a lifestyle, that's a crisis.
Imagine the smell in a crowded room.
Nope, I don't even want to imagine that.
Instead of bathing, people focused more on changing clothes. Well, the ones who could afford to.
Wait, so clean clothes equals clean body?
That's what they believed. They thought linen undergarments would absorb dirt and sweat.
That sounds like a very creative excuse.
Hey, when you don't have soap, you get creative.
Or lazy.
Maybe both.
Okay, but what about kings and queens? Tell me they were at least clean.
Define clean.
Oh no, that pause tells me everything.
Even royalty didn't bathe regularly.
What? You're telling me a king with all that power didn't shower?
Some famous royals were known for rarely bathing. For example, there are stories that certain monarchs only bathed a few times a year.
A year? That's unacceptable.
Different times, different standards.
Yeah, standards were definitely lower.
Instead of bathing, royalty used heavy perfumes.
Of course they did.
We're not talking light fragrance. We're talking strong, powerful, cover everything level perfume.
So basically, they turned themselves into walking air fresheners?
Exactly.
Okay, but I need to know, what about teeth? Please tell me they brushed their teeth.
Well, kind of.
That kind of is not comforting.
People use things like crushed bones, charcoal, and even ash to clean their teeth.
Ash? That sounds dangerous.
It wasn't great, but it was something.
So basically no toothpaste, just fireplace leftovers?
Pretty much. And here's another surprising fact. Public baths actually disappeared in many areas.
Wait, didn't Romans love public baths?
They did, but later people started associating public baths with disease and immoral behavior.
So instead of fixing hygiene, they just shut everything down?
Exactly.
It's crazy how something as normal as bathing today was so misunderstood back then.
Yeah, it shows how much knowledge and science have changed our daily lives.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel extremely grateful for my shower right now.
Same here. Hot water is a luxury we don't appreciate enough.
Okay, so far we've seen Romans scraping themselves and medieval people avoiding baths completely. Please tell me somewhere in the world people were actually doing it right.
Finally, yes, not everyone was struggling like Europe.
Thank goodness. I needed some hope.
Let's talk about ancient Japan.
Okay, I've heard Japan has strong hygiene culture even today.
Exactly. Even centuries ago, bathing was a huge part of daily life in Japan. People used hot water baths known as communal baths.
Wait, so they actually bathed regularly?
Yes, and not just for cleaning, for relaxation too.
So basically they were living the spa life while Europe was avoiding water?
That's one way to put it.
Did they use soap?
Early on, they used natural ingredients like plant-based cleansers. Nothing fancy, but effective.
Okay, Japan is winning so far.
Now let's move to desert regions.
Desert? That sounds like the worst place for bathing.
Exactly. Water was limited, so people had to adapt.
So how did they stay clean?
They used sand to clean their skin.
Sand? That sounds painful.
Not really. Sand can remove dirt and oil, similar to exfoliation.
So basically nature's scrub?
Exactly.
It's interesting. Different environments created completely different hygiene methods.
Right. People adopted based on what they had.
Audience question. If you had to choose,
Live in ancient Japan with regular hot baths, or live in the desert using sand to clean yourself.
what would you pick?
Choose wisely.
Drop your answer in the comments.
Okay, now I want to know the weirdest things people use to stay clean.
Oh, you're not ready for this.
That's not comforting.
In some ancient cultures, people used animal fat to make early soap.
No, that sounds disgusting.
It was actually one of the earliest forms of soap, fat mixed with ash.
Okay, science-wise it makes sense, but still feels wrong.
And here's something even crazier. In ancient Rome, urine was used for cleaning clothes.
What? I'm done. I'm leaving.
It contains ammonia, which actually helps remove stains.
I don't care how effective it is. That's insane.
People back then were basically DIY scientists.
More like desperate innovators.
After everything we've talked about, I feel like we've been living in luxury this whole time.
Absolutely. Modern hygiene is one of the biggest upgrades in human history.
Hot showers, shampoo, body wash, clean water, we really take it for granted.
And it's not just comfort, it's health. Modern hygiene has reduced diseases and improved life expectancy.
That's actually powerful.
So, next time your shower takes too long to heat up, just remember, it could be worse.
Yeah, I could be scraping oil off my body.
Or avoiding baths for months.
Or using sand.
Or worse.
Okay, stop. Don't remind me. All right, guys, this was honestly one of the craziest topics we've ever covered.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to stick around for more.
Final question. If you had to live in any past hygiene system we talked about, which one would you choose? Roman oil scraping? Medieval no bathing? Japanese hot baths? Or desert sand cleaning?
And you have to pick one.
Drop your answer in the comments. We're reading everything.